Mount Cuther is effectively a slice of the Australian bush, less than 10 kilometres from the city.
If you've been to Brisbane, you've likely seen the city from the top of Mount Cootha, or got lost in the trails here.
People love Mount Cootha. Brisbane people are passionate about Mount Cootha.
But one question has haunted this landmark for decades. Has Mount Cootha reached its peak?
Mount Cuther is already fantastic, but this is about taking it to a world-class level. Why? Because Brisbane deserves it, and because in just 7 years' time, we'll have the world looking at Brisbane.
The city is gearing up for the 2032 Olympics, with $7 billion being spent on a swathe of sites. And Mount Cootha could be next. The council is investigating a Singaporean-style makeover of the Botanic Gardens, a new light show and glamping.
Some of the original parts of the Botanic Gardens date back to the 1970s and they need a refresh.
But not everyone is pleased.
How do we, as a community, stand up to this?
To understand why, we need to go back in time.
Community elders from the Brisbane community have been fighting development on Mount Cootha for more than 100 years.
He's right. In the 1920s, residents protested plans for a dance hall at the summit.
People were very worried about because it would lead to immoral behaviour. It's just so close. It's just 800 metres away.
Janet Spillman is a historian that is so devoted to the mountain she lives at its base, spending her time writing about its history.
William Jolly became our first Lord Mayor of Greater Brisbane, and he was absolutely determined to create a beautiful city with parklands, and he said, this is breathing space for the people of Brisbane. This is for people's recreation.
Janet says people got used to the mountain remaining in its natural state.
When council agrees to start development that people disagree with, that's when life becomes very interesting. People have said, no thank you, and people are willing to fight.
The Mount Cootha Zipline will provide 3 new experiences.
The council's last major proposal in 2016, building Australia's longest zipline spanning 1,500 metres.
There has been ferocious disagreement from people over all of that.
And you hear the people shouting!
The Mount Cootha Protection Alliance, a group of volunteers dedicated to protecting the mountain, took their fight against the zipline to court in 2019.
People were concerned about the impact it was going to have on people's enjoyment of the mountain and its forests as a public park.
Adrian Schrinner was appointed Mayor of Brisbane in 2019. The first item on his agenda, scrapping the zipline.
My view was that the impacts of that project on Mount Cootha would not have been acceptable.
6 years later, the council is trying again. The ideas are part of a broader ecotourism pitch.
So better botanic gardens and upgraded botanic gardens, a long-term plan for the quarry, a better summit, also more tourism opportunities here.
A treetop canopy walk, a 170-kilometre wilderness trail and glamping accommodation is on the wish list.
I think it's a great idea because it'll bring more people up here.
Well, treetop walk might be nice, but glamping, you go further out in the bush to glamp, don't you?
Yeah, the light show would be amazing. It'll bring, I think, a little bit more to the area, which would be nice.
Despite the proposal being in its infancy, community groups are mobilising.
We don't want to see any clearing of vegetation. We don't want to see the Botanic Gardens torn apart. We want to see what they propose for the Botanic Gardens going in a revamped quarry. And we don't want to see commercial development on the mountain. And what's kept that away is community action over something like 150 years.
Would you go to court again over this?
If we need to go towards legal action, and it looks like there's going to be a payoff for us, then of course we'd seriously consider that.
Nearly every development proposed for Mount Cuther is met with fierce backlash. Why propose this revamp?
Well, we need to be bold and we need to expect better for Brisbane. And when the world has their eye on Brisbane in 2032, we need to have a world-class offering.
The development of green spaces is already a sore point across the city, with a new Olympic stadium at Victoria Park. The council is also under pressure over struggling to maintain its ageing infrastructure, the Story Bridge.
We can walk and chew gum. We can invest in restoring the Story Bridge. We can work with other levels of government to do that, and we can do this as well.
Now it's a question of whether council will be able to convince punters of the plan, or if history will repeat itself.
I see Mount Coot-tha as the people's mountain. I think that there will continue to be a tug-of-war between economic development and recreational value. I'll be interested to see how that plays out.